Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this is the second or third in our Hothouse webinar series. My name is Andrew, and I will be talking to you a bit this morning about how to engage with industry and some best practice, some tips, and how Hothouse can help. So I'm just going to go to I have some slides here, so I'm just going to go to that. And just to check. Now, Danielle is our technical wizard who's doing the hosting. So I just check, Danielle, is that showing?
Yep, you're good to go.
It's all good to go. The slide's good. Okay, I'm just going to presentation mode here. Yes, the topic, the title is Researcher Industry Collaboration, a Practical Guide. And the agenda of what we're going to cover a bit today is I'm going to give you a little bit more introductions to myself and to Hothouse, and I'm aware of the fact that there's a limited amount I can cover in a half hour today. So I want to give you a quick overview of a framework that we use, 5 elements of collaboration, why collaborate, who to target, where to focus your efforts, how I will present myself, and when I will spend time looking at collaboration and on engagement. We also have various supporting tools that we can send out to researchers to help them with this planning. And most importantly, we're always free to meet researchers to discuss all these different steps and how you can best set up your collaborations with industry. So my name is Andrew Marsh, for those of you who don't know me. I was a researcher originally in mathematics in Galway and in Pittsburgh. And since then I've joined the knowledge transfer scene. I used to work in Tyndall in UCC and also now in Hothouse. And we have a team with a diverse range of experience. We have people who've experience in sales, in startups, and we kind of see ourselves in the knowledge transfer team as helping academics engage with industry through various different mechanisms. The one I'm going to talk about today is specifically around research collaborations. So I just want to take a little step back at the start here. Before we start thinking about the practical aspects of collaboration, I think it's really important for you to understand why, as a researcher, you want to collaborate with external organizations. And we talk to a lot of researchers who kind of feel like it's something that they should be doing. But unless you really think about why you want to do it, it can be very hard to be strategic, to think about who you need to talk to, what types of collaborations you're going to do, and so on. So so the very first exercise, I know it might seem a little bit of a step back, but really have a good think about what your motivations are for engaging with industry. A good starting point is there's been a lot of research done on why researchers across the world, and even specifically in Ireland, want to collaborate with industry. So there was a study done by a group in Trinity, and they went out and they did a national survey, and the most commonly cited reason for researchers wanting to collaborate with industry and other external organizations is to gain insights into their own research and to sort of look for practical applications of what they're doing. And at the bottom then, an equally valid reason, but one that was least cited, was to try and gain extra personal income or to look for business opportunities linked to research. And if you think about it, if your motivation is to gain insights in the area of your own research, you're going to be looking for industrial partners who are applying the type of research you're doing. And if you're looking for personal income, you're going to be much more market focused. You're going to be thinking about what companies could I collaborate with that could ultimately be a customer. So they're very, very different reasons for collaborating, and they will color what you do with in the future with your collaborations. And why, it's also thinking about, so the collaboration with industry, it has to be a two-way thing. So you have to get something and they have to get something. Otherwise, it'll be a one-time collaboration. It'll be very shallow. So to go with your motivations, you have to think about what are the particular benefits that you're looking for. So for some people, they're looking to they see themselves as the future research leader. They're looking to build their capacity in their research group, and they know that through industry collaborations they can bring in funding, they can become part of larger research centres, and for them that's the importance. Other people aren't that concerned. The sort of benefits they're looking for is more to do with how their students, how they'll be better able to teach their students. And so we have tools for this. If those of you who are interested, we can send these out. So a very good starting point is sit down, think about what are your motivations and what benefits you're looking to get from your industry collaborations. And to go with that, this is something we can discuss with you in Hothouse. What can we offer the external partner? And what are they looking for? So one of the most commonly cited reasons for industry to engage with third level research could be access to students. So it might seem a little bit unusual. You think they'd be more interested in the careers office and so on, but by engaging directly with the academics on research projects, they can get interaction with masters and PhD level students, have an idea of what work is being done. They're often looking for access to particular types of knowledge that they don't have within the organisation. And then in certain cases, they're actually just looking for a sort of straight consultancy type work, or they have a very specific problem that they want to deal with. So each different partner is going to have completely different motivations for collaboration with the university. So that's part of the whole puzzle that you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about these external collaborations. And that this is the exercise I would set you if you're thinking about building up your external research profile and thinking about your collaborators, is just to write down very simply 2 or 3 bullet points. Why do I want to collaborate with external organizations? What am I actually trying to achieve? If you were applying for research funding for a big research project that you're going to spend lots of time, the first thing you're going to have is your research question, your research objective that you're trying to address. It should be the same with this activity. If you're going to do this properly, it's going to take time and effort, so you have to ensure that you have a very, very clear idea of what you're trying to achieve. So the second part is, having thought about what your objectives are, what you're trying to get out of it, that will make you start to think about who you're actually going to target, what types of organizations. And then from types of organizations, you can get down to specific organizations, and then what roles, who are the people that you might talk to. So again, if you're interested in building a large research team, and you're interested in working on really, really deep research problems with industry, the types of organizations you might target would be those who have a strong internal research capability. So it could be an IBM, a Nokia Bell Labs, a big research-heavy organization who you can collaborate with. If you're more interested in looking for commercial opportunities, the organizations you might target might be much smaller. They might be SMEs, they might be companies who ultimately could become your customers. And then within those organizations, you have to think about who are the people you're going to approach, particularly with the large organizations. This can be quite challenging. And to actually really engage with the people in these organizations, it takes a significant amount of effort, and it takes a significant amount of time. And you're going to really have to focus on building relationships with them. So you want to ensure that you're targeting the right person. You're not spending meeting after meeting talking to somebody who is in the organization who can't really help you, who isn't really in a position to help advance your research. And you have large existing networks through student placements, through your colleagues, and Hothouse, we have a very, very large network of companies who we've dealt with and who we continue to deal with. So it's usually relatively easy to get that first meeting, that first chat with people. So that's the second part of this exercise that I'd set you. So if you decide and think about what are the reasons for collaborating with industry, then to write down just to sketch down who are the organizations, what are the types of organizations. Do a little bit of research online, see if you can find specific examples of organizations. And then, using LinkedIn, it's a fantastic tool. You can think a little bit about who specifically within that organization you might want to talk to. Okay, and then there's the third aspect. So then is where you're going to actually focus your efforts in building these contacts. So some examples that we give here, through conferences. If you attend, if you can look at specific conferences, you can look at those that are attended by industry leaders in your area. Online forums, LinkedIn groups, industry showcases. We do great networking through the student project showcases, and the IRDG, which is a organization that's specifically set up to link university research with industry, and do a number of events every year which we attend, and that they're a great place to meet those companies who are specifically interested in collaborating with third level. LinkedIn, I mean, I could do a whole webinar on LinkedIn, and we may do a whole webinar on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the tool that I would use most to find people and to find conferences and forums to make contacts. You can search, for example, in LinkedIn for your second degree connections. So those are people who you aren't necessarily connected to, but who one of your connections knows. And usually that's a huge group of people. That's well into the tens of thousands. And among that, you can search for people with specific roles or within specific organizations. And then you automatically have one of your contacts who knows them, who can set you up. And the other thing that I use a lot, is very useful, is LinkedIn groups. I think it's one of the most underused features. Most really niche areas have a LinkedIn group. We did an exercise, for example, where we were commercializing a hypothetical pipeline leak detection technology. And we looked on LinkedIn, and we found there's a LinkedIn group for industry people who are specifically interested in new technologies for detecting pipeline leaks. I mean, I can't think of anything more niche than that, but there's a group there of 2,300 people who are specifically interested in that topic. All you have to do is join that group, and now you automatically have an audience of people who have said that they're really interested in the problem that you can solve. And again, if you come and chat to us in Hothouse, we can help you with these different tools. We can use our own networks. We can help try and find specific conferences that you can go to, where that might be more industry rather than academic focused, and you can start targeting specific people to collaborate with based on your list from the previous section. So again, the third part of this exercise is to sit down, and you have your list of all the companies that you want to talk to and all the people that you think are the important people that you need to meet for your research collaborations. So start looking, finding what events they're going to, check their, if they're speakers at events or attendees at events, usually that's publicly available information. If they participate in different online forums, that'll usually be public information, and you can join those networks very easily. And it's a, it can be a bit intimidating, I find, at the start when you don't know an area, when you don't know a network, about thinking about how you're going to break into that and how you're going to become known in it. These types of tools, by taking a systematic approach, I think for me it takes a lot of the intimidation out of it. A lot of it is desk-based research. You go and you find these things, and then you kind of put yourself out there, attend these events. And again, you need to be strategic here. Where should I be focusing my energies? You have a limited time in your week, in your month, in your year to spend on these type of networking activities with industry. And this is just the early stage. This is just to meet the people, to sit down and talk about your research and to talk about what different projects you might be able to do with them. So, you're only going to have a certain amount of time to spend on that. You want to make sure that that time you spend is spent very, very wisely, and that you are attending the right events. There's nothing worse than traveling all the way to Birmingham for a 3-day conference and you find out that none of the people there are the people that you need to be talking to. And you only get to go to maybe 1 or 2 of those conferences every year. So just like in your academic research, if you're trying to promote your research to certain people in the academic community, you'd look and make sure that they're going to be at those conferences. Right, the crucial thing that I think people forget, and you learn this pretty quickly once you start doing it, is you really have to have a plan about how you're going to present myself. So there's nothing worse than you've done all these things that I've talked about. You've been very strategic. You've put a lot of time and effort, and now you always want to work with IBM. And there you are. You finally have this serendipitous meeting with the research manager in IBM Ireland, and you're thinking, and they ask you about your research, and you start blathering on about something machine learning and this, and you can realize a minute into you're still talking, your mouth is moving, you're not exactly sure what you're saying, you can see that person's attention is waning, they start to look over your shoulder at the crowd behind you, who else they might talk to, and all this effort has been for nothing. You had your chance to sort of engage them in your research, and it's lost. So there's no harm in having a little 1-minute script. I often think of these things like just like a little story that you've told 50 times before, and it just flows off the tongue. It's so easy to tell. So when somebody, particularly somebody, maybe they're technical but they're not an expert in your area, when they ask you about your research, that you have a little 1-minute spiel that you can tell them that explains to them at a pretty high level what your research area is and how it could potentially have practical applications. And it's going to be very, very different to the description you would give to somebody you talk to at an academic conference who is an expert in your area. And for some people this comes very naturally. Some people, when they meet people, can switch between modes very easily. I don't find that for myself. I have to have this little sort of script prepared, and it's no harm in having a few of these for different types of audiences. So if you were to meet a business leader, so the CEO of an SME who you think your research could help, how do you explain to them your research and keep their interest? So remember, the important thing that you're trying to do is keep their interest throughout. So it doesn't have to be detailed. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. Obviously we can't misrepresent what we're doing, but you don't have to go into all the exceptions and the details and the ifs and the buts. Yeah, what you have to try and do is keep them engaged throughout the conversation. And then once you have that initial engagement, things usually flow a lot more easily and more naturally from there. If you are targeting specific people, if you are attending events or contacting them online, and if they are important, if you think it's worth your while building up a relationship with them, learn as much as you can about them before the meeting without turning into a stalker. Find out if they're members of particular LinkedIn groups, if they've given presentations, what do they tend to talk about in public, what do they emphasize. For example, one of our big industrial partners in TU Dublin, a strategic partner of the university, the main contact we have within that organization, although they're a manufacturing company, has a real personal interest in equality in STEM education. So bringing forward and improving the achievement levels of females in STEM education. So it wouldn't be hard to find that out, that person has an interest in that topic. although it's not really all that directly related to their job or to their organization. So having that little bit of knowledge about the person can be crucial in helping to build a relationship and to build the engagement. Okay, then so predictably enough, another quick exercise, and again we have worksheets we can send you out with more detail on how to do this. I'm back live. I thought I was gone. Got back live. I thought I was gone there for a second. You know, if you're not going to spend a little bit of time doing this every week, then you've got to think about, is this something that you really want to engage in? These types of external collaborations. So, you know, just as you would with your research, you'll have meetings and catch up where you will. Sorry, just got a notification there. Okay, just like in your research, you will have my apologies there. I thought that was through the Teams. I was getting notified in the Teams. Okay, and so you're also going to have to be systematic about it. You're going to have to keep notes and records. Review successful, unsuccessful outcomes. Plan regular engagements with the people in Hothouse. All researchers should have an assigned case manager who can help them through this process, who can guide them, and can be a partner with them if they need to go to meetings with industry, meetings with external organizations. We can help with preparing pitches, all these aspects. This is something that we do every day with researchers, and we're always willing to help out. So just to briefly recap, you know, so it's this simple mnemonic, I guess. So it's the why, who, where, how, and when. So you sit down, think about why you're collaborating with industry or other external organizations, non-academic organizations. And once you've decided why you want to collaborate, it shouldn't be too hard to determine who are the best people to collaborate with. And again, always start with your own network and people you've worked with before, or people that your school or research group have got good connections with. Where will I focus my efforts? Where am I going to meet these people? Where am I going to do my networking? Where am I going to spend time and energy? And then when I get that opportunity, have prepared and think about, how am I actually going to present myself in my work? Have I got a quick natural pitch ready to explain to anybody what I'm doing? And then finally, just to take that step back and loop back in, to set aside some time for planning on this, developing your contacts, talking with us in Hothouse, and talking with other people in your research group about who you guys might be interested in talking to. Okay, so that is the presentation part.